Hello there, and welcome to another episode of the HT Physio Quick Tips series. My name is Will Harlow, and I'm the Over-Fifties Specialist Physio from HT Physio in Farnham. And today I'm going to be answering the question of when are you most likely to sustain a long-term injury? Now, the answer to this one might surprise you because most people would say, oh, when you're playing sport or, when you suddenly take up running. And while those things are true, the time that most people sustain a long-term injury, or the time when you're most at risk of sustaining a long-term injury, is actually a different time entirely. And this is something that I picked up over my years of practice. And I discovered that you're much more likely to sustain a long-term injury after a period of being unwell. Now, being unwell, I'm talking about, having the flu or having a really bad stomach bug or any other problem that's really knocked you for six and caused you to have to take a prolonged period of rest. And it's actually the rest that you take from being unwell, which is part of the problem. Now, we know from the research that depressingly, it only takes as little as 2 weeks of relative rest before you start to lose muscle mass, especially in your weight-bearing muscles, like your thigh muscles and your lower back muscles and your core. So you only need to be resting for 10 days to 2 weeks before you get noticeable muscle mass loss. And when you get that muscle mass loss, what happens is you lose some of the strength that those muscles had. And when you lose the strength of the muscles, you also lose the stability that that strength gives you. Now, once you've lost the stability, your joints aren't as well protected as they usually are, which means that problems like tendon issues or sprains, or times when you pull your back from simple things like just bending forward and picking something up, become much more likely after a period of illness where you've been resting for a long period of time. Now, the other reason that being unwell can cause you to sustain a long-term injury is just the fact that being ill does sap the strength out of you. So that adds another factor to increase your risk of sustaining an injury. So we can't always avoid being unwell, and most of us are going to be unwell for at least a few weeks of our lives. So it's worth thinking about what we can do to minimize the risk of sustaining a nasty injury after we start to get moving again. Now, one of the key things here is to start off slowly after you recover from your illness. So if you feel like you've been very unwell for a couple of weeks and then you think, oh, I feel much better today, I'm going to go on a long walk. Stop right there before you get going and think, is a long walk a good idea? Or should I start off with a shorter one first and then build up over time? Now, 90% of the time, that second option is going to be better for you. Now, the second thing you can do to improve your chances of staying fit after you've been unwell is to start to do some strengthening exercises from the comfort of your own home before you do anything more strenuous. So if you're a golfer or a tennis player, before you get back onto the court or onto the golf course, you're going to want to do some movements and some exercises that are going to be able to bring up some of that muscle strength again before you get back out there, especially if it's been a long period of time that you've been off for. Now, all of the other things still stand. You need to have a look at how much movement you have at your joints. And if you feel very stiff, try to get moving very gently before you do anything more strenuous. The other things that can help are putting heat over painful joints to sort of loosen them up before you become more active and before you go for long walks and runs. And basically just taking it easy and listening to what your body is telling you. If you're aching all over and you still don't feel quite right, don't push yourself too hard. If it's just a cold, that's fine. But if you've really got the flu or another type of illness, then you need to take it a bit easier before you really start to push on with the physical activity. Anyway, I hope that's been helpful. Those are just some of my tips for avoiding long-term injuries after a period of being unwell. If you'd like some more health tips from me, the best place to go is to pick up a copy of my book, which is called Thriving Beyond 50. and you can get that from Amazon, or you can go to htphysio.co.uk/book as well. You can find a link to that below this video. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.